Hi everybody, Paul here today. I'm going to be doing a shave today comparing the Merkur Futur with the Merkur Futur Clone. This shave is requested by a friend of mine, John. So John, this shave's for you, buddy. So just to start out with, this is the Merkur Futur Clone right here, and this is the actual Merkur Futur. And what I noticed about it is the finish on the actual Futur appears to be a little bit more of a matte sort of finish. This is a matte finish, but it's slightly shinier. Also, the Futur is a little bit heavier than the Clone. Another thing that I noticed is kind of interesting is that the adjustment on the actual Futur, when you turn it all the way clockwise, it lands, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it lands directly on the 1. So all the way clockwise it lands all the way on the 1, and all the way counterclockwise it lands on the 6. On the Clone, when you adjust it all the way clockwise, it ends up on the dot between the 6 and the 1, and then when you go all the way counterclockwise, it ends up right on the 6. So it actually, this one I guess technically starts at 0.5 and goes all the way to 6, and the other one, the actual Futur, starts at 1 and goes all the way to 6. The other thing is that the adjustment on the actual Futur appears to be more solid. There's a little bit more resistance in there, and it appears to be kind of more precise. The Clone feels to be a little bit kind of sloppier and a little bit looser. So I'm going to shave with these and see, kind of compare them. I'm going to do the first pass on a 1. Well, actually, I think what I'll do is I'll do the first pass on 6. I'll do my second pass on 3, which is the normal setting I use on the Futur, and the last pass I'll use on 1. So we'll give it a try here and see how they compare. So I'm going to set them both at 6. These both have the same blade. These both have a Persona Med Prep blades in them. They're exactly the same. So I'll shave the left side of my face with the Futur, and I'll shave the right side of my face with the Clone, and then I'll kind of give you my assessment on how the shave feels, how they compare, and we'll go from there. So I'm just going to wet my face, and we'll get going. So in the interest of time, I'm going to use a Perazzo Blue Cream. I've actually already pre-lathered it in my Georgetown Pottery Scuttle. I don't usually bowl lather, you know, most of the time I'll just face lather, but just to save a little time today I kind of pre-lathered this. So for the brush I'm using the Simpson Emperor 3, which is a nice little Super Badger shaving brush, not super dense, works really good with the cream, however. So we'll just get a nice little covering of the cream on the face here, and then we'll get going. One thing I like about this is that the knot is small, so you can really kind of precisely lay down the lather. You don't have a lot of excess going everywhere. So right side of the face, we've got the Futur Clone, so we'll go ahead and get started. So the range of the adjustment on the Futur is pretty good. There's quite a bit of difference between the shave level 1 and shave level 6 on the actual Futur. The level 6 is pretty aggressive. And I would say that's pretty much the case there. That 6 setting on the Clone seems to feel pretty aggressive, so we'll just kind of Okay. So I'd say on 6 they feel pretty similar, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it down to 3 on the Future and 3 on the Clone. And what's that? A little water. So 3 is a normal setting I would use for my Future. I don't really change the setting normally during my shave. I'll just go put it on 3 and use that for the whole shave. I found that for me that setting works really the best with the Future. So go ahead and setting 3 on the Clone, right side of the face. So the 3 setting is very comfortable. You know, pretty much what I'm accustomed to with the actual Future. So one thing I'm kind of noticing is that as I'm shaving, the Future, the actual Merkur Future, seems to have just a more solid feel to it. The cap and the base plates seem to feel more solid. I kind of get the impression with this that there seems to be, it feels like there's some play or some slight movement of the blade perhaps with this. It's very subtle, but as you can see, this does have some wiggle to it, and this really does not. I guess a little bit, but not as much as with this one. So the fit here just doesn't seem to be quite as tight. So, all right. However, the shave actually is pretty similar. The difference is very, very subtle. But the actual Future does have a little slightly more solid feel to it as you're running it across your face. So, okay, third and final pass. Go. Alright. Sure I got the right one. Future Clone. Oh, I forgot to set it back to 1. So let me set that back. Let me start over here. Set that back down to 1. And you do that on this one too. So just fair comparison. Okay. So on 1, this razor is really mild on this side. Let's try the other side now. It's kind of interesting. It's like, here, let me just rinse this off. I'm just going to try this again. It feels like on the one side here, you can barely feel the blade. But on the other side, slightly, you can feel the blade slightly more on the one side. Yeah, one side on this razor, on the lowest setting, you can feel the blade slightly more than on the other side. So I don't know if perhaps on the 1 setting there, there may be a little bit of discrepancy or difference between the two sides as far as the blade gap goes. It's not something that you can see with the naked eye, but definitely you can feel it. One side seems to be a little bit more efficient, or you can feel the blade slightly more. Okay. Let me do this at the future. Okay, so on the future, both sides are feel pretty much the same. There's no difference in the way either side shaves at the lowest setting on the future, which is number 1. So, anyways, that's let me just rinse off here, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay. So what do I think about the Futur Clone? Well, before I do that, let me just throw some aftershave on here. I'm going to go ahead and use the Mirasol Metal Sol. This is actually the first time I've ever, or the first Mirasol product I've ever purchased. I've seen these around for many years, and I've always been curious about it, but I've never taken the plunge and gotten one. And this one piqued my interest just because it in the description it says that it will turn a bad shave into a good shave. It had some alum rock in it to help heal any nicks and cuts, it's really a very simple aftershave. Has kind of a kind of a medicinal scent to it. Does have a tiny bit of menthol in it. And also a little bit of an herbal medicinal kind of scent. Very unobtrusive, and it actually feels great on the face. So anyways, final thoughts on the two razors. There's the Futur Clone and the Merkur Futur. Just overall, I would say these razors, the Clone does shave fairly similar to the actual Merkur Futur. But there are some slight differences. The razor is lighter. It doesn't feel like it's as solidly put together. There's a little bit of play in the cap and the head. The adjustment thing is looser, which I guess may be good or bad, depends on how you look at it. It's certainly less likely to slip and cut yourself if you're adjusting this with wet hands. I usually don't adjust it at all. I just put it at 3. The shape's pretty close. It's pretty similar to the actual Futur. There's not a huge discrepancy there. If you were intrigued by this razor and wanted this razor but don't want to spend the money to get the actual Futur, this is a good price-conscious alternative. I think these things run anywhere from $10 to $15 on eBay. So it's a good deal. I mean, you can't really go wrong with it. It's going to give you a shave that's pretty much on par with the actual Merkur Futur. Not quite as solidly built. It seems like there's just a little bit more play in the whole razor, but it's very subtle. Futur, there's the Futur. Really solid razor. I think it's well chronicled. I've had my likes and dislikes with this razor over the years, but I've really over time come to really love this razor. It actually shaves great, and this was actually the razor that got me into DE shaving. I was actually shaving with a straight razor to start out with, and I got this for a trip, and I got such a fantastic shave. It really sort of ignited my passion for DE shaving. So anyways, that's it. I think the Futur Clone's a decent razor. Shaves really good, pretty close to the actual Futur, and a good price conscious alternative. So anyways guys, that's the shave. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask below. I'll respond to them as soon as I can. See you later.